Hi, welcome to This Week in Ames. I'm Susan Guiazda. On today's show, we're at the Resource Recovery Plant learning about the new SHARPS program. Hi, my guest today is Bill Schmidt, Assistant Superintendent with the Resource Recovery Plant. We're here at the control room of the Resource Recovery Plant where we're going to hear to talk about a new program that you have for disposal of medical sharps. First, Bill, can you explain to me what a medical sharp is?
Medical sharp would be any item that has been used for injection, for cutting skin, anything that would have had any bodily fluid on it. So insulin needles or pipettes, or if someone had used a lance, would be considered medical sharps, those type of items.
So for a lot of people who have diabetes, that might be something that they would have a lot of those hypodermic needles.
Correct. That would be something that they would use routinely, so that would be something that would be covered under this program.
So the previous way of handling medical sharps was just simply properly encase them and put them in the trash.
That was one of the ways it was being done, and that creates some problems when we go to dispose of them and handle them in our processing area. It created opportunities where some of our employees would become in contact with the sharps, and we now contract with a hazardous material hauler who picks up the sharps on a routine basis, and we need to comply with their laws and then also with DOT transportation laws. So that's why we're using this new program.
So the new procedure basically takes them out of the general waste stream.
Correct. It takes them out of the general waste stream and puts them into a stream where they will be disposed of and handled correctly.
So if you have a sharp, how now do you safely dispose of it?
Now we would like you to either use a regular sharps container, which you can purchase at a pharmacy, or the person that we are using, the company we're using, will also allow you to use a rigid detergent container that has been emptied and has sharps written on the outside of the container. You put your sharps inside the container, put the cap back on top of the container, and then tape it on with duct tape. And then that thing can be disposed of with the regular sharps containers.
I know in the past people have put them in like soda bottles. Now that is not a really thick plastic.
Correct, and that was part of the problem, is that the sharps would come through the plastic, and if someone else would happen to touch that container, they could then potentially become infected or have an exposure to whatever was on that sharp before.
So now the important thing to remember is either a specialty container made for sharps or those heavy-duty laundry detergent bottles that are emptied out and then securely fastened.
That is correct.
And then, well, you say you've gotten that far. Now what am I doing?
Now if you want to bring it to our facility at 110 Center Avenue here in Ames, come around to the north side of the building. We've got car lane number 1, which is marked for car lane. You can pull into the building, and then just off to the right-hand side by our scale house, we have a red container with sharps on the outside of the container. One of our customer service employees will come over and visit with you. They will unlock the container, open it up, and allow you and show you where to put your sharps down inside the container.
Okay, so it's not dump it in with the rest of the garbage again. It's again putting it in a special container with the assistance of a staff member.
Correct, and that is to make sure that it's in a safe environment for the customers and also for our employees.
Okay, and it's, what if you're closed? Do I just leave them by the door?
We're open from 7 a.m. to 3:30 Monday through Friday, and then from 8 to noon on Saturday, and we will accept them anytime during those hours.
So don't bring them and drop them off.
That is correct.
That's correct. Now what's the cost for the service?
The cost is free. We assume all costs on it, so there's no expense to come in and drop them off, and that's why we really encourage people to follow those rules of either using a sharps container or liquid detergent bottle and bringing them in and dropping them off. So.
Well, really, it's not that many more steps, and it keeps a lot more people safe. So
Correct.
This seems like the correct and environmentally responsible way to dispose of these materials.
It really is, and that's what we want to do, is we want to make sure we're doing it in an environmental way and make sure it's safe for everyone involved.
Well, the SHARPS program is part of the Household Hazardous Waste program. So tell me a little bit about that program.
That program is we receive household hazardous waste on Wednesdays from noon to 3:30. It's by appointment only. You can call 239-5137 and make an appointment. That would consider anything like pesticides, chemicals, oil-based paints, anything you have around the house that you're no longer able to use. We contract with Metro Waste Authority. They have a recycling center down in Bondurant where they take the product down there. If it's not usable, they'll recycle it or make sure it's disposed of properly. If it is usable, they have a center set up where people can come in and pick up product. They can pick up paint, they can pick up chemicals that they could potentially use in their own home rather than just having product go into landfill. So it's another way that we can help keep the environment very safe.
Well, Bill, just one more question. Tell me a little bit about the resource recovery plant. I know there's always confusion in this community on what happens to the trash in Ames, and why don't I have those recycling bins where I get to separate everything?
Sure, no problem. What we do at Resource Recovery is we take all the municipal solid waste from Story County, we bring it in, we run it through a shredding process, we pull all the ferrous metal off, which would be stuff that we pull off of the magnet. That gets sent to a recycling company where they melt it down and use it for metal production in the future. It then goes through a secondary screening process where we pull out all the grit, the gravel, the broken glass that isn't separated out, which we do have separate containers for glass. That is then run through another secondary mill where it's processed a little bit further, where it gets down about 4-inch size pieces of refuse. RDF, we call it refuse-derived fuel. That is then sent through an air classification system. All the light product is sent over to the power plant to be used for electrical generation to reduce the amount of coal that we burn here in Ames. The rest of it is then run through a non-ferrous system where we pull the zinc, the brass, the copper, the aluminum off, and then that is also sold. So through that process, we're able to recover about 75% of the items that are brought into our facility is either recycled through the metals program or sent over to the fuel to be used in cogeneration with generating electricity with coal. So.
And we use 10% less coal by using that garbage. That's a fabulous statistic, and 75% is really a remarkable rate.
And the nice thing about it is we're reducing what goes into landfill by 75%. So we're really conserving our environmental resources.
Again, you mentioned glass. Glass is the one thing you can pull out of your garbage and take to those yellow glass recycling bins located at area grocery stores. How's that program going?
It's going very well. We seem to get a little more increased glass recovery every year. It's been very well received. We had some of the stores were doing some remodeling around town, and they had to remove some of the glass containers around, and we got a lot of calls for people wanting to know where else they could take their glass. So we're currently working with some of the other departments, so we're going to try and put together a GIS map that will be web browser friendly so that people can click on it and they can show them right exactly where the glass containers are, and that's where they can go drop them off.
Great. We love seeing people fill those bins up. We empty them regularly, and it's great to see that product being reused. Well, Bill, thanks for sharing with us the information about the Sharps program.
Thank you.
Well, as we get into the month of December, some deadlines are approaching. The Public Art Commission has a deadline for the Neighborhood Sculpture Program. If you're interested in acquiring some public art for your neighborhood, check out more information on our website. That application is due Friday, December 21st. Also Friday, December 21st is the deadline for the Ames Humanitarian Award. The Ames Human Relations Commission selects one person to bestow the Humanitarian Award on each year. You can get more information on our website at cityofames.org on that award as well. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week for This Week in Ames.